you know,
for people within the IT. You've come up with your eight-point agenda, and some of the things might look too impossible, too huge to achieve over the period of 4 years. Can you give us a breakdown? First of all, run us through this 8-point agenda. Then give us a breakdown on how you're going to implement this and make so it looks achievable.
Thank you. I think one of the most genius things that the president did was actually create a ministry catered specifically to arts, culture, and the creative economy, which has never been done before. He understood that the power there is in this particular sector. And yes, we have a number of agendas which encompass a number of initiatives that we feel are very important for us to enact in a way that will enrich the lives of Nigerians. In a nutshell, what we want to do as a ministry, number one, is sort of include to the economy of the country. We want to be able to contribute at least $100 billion to increase the GDP by 2030. Obviously, that's a long-term goal, but in the short-term goal, we want to contribute millions to the GDP. And then we want to do job creation. I think one of the main areas that Nigerians really struggle is the lack of jobs, specifically for a younger demographic.
True.
And one of the things that the president told me when he gave me this particular portfolio was that he wanted me to concentrate on the younger demographic. So this is what we're doing in terms of coming up with those initiatives that will be able to give job creation. Then, of course, you have capacity building. Capacity building is very, very key because Nigerians really have a lot of raw talent, but it's really about sort of nurturing and cultivating those talents. So we've come up with those initiatives that will be able to encourage Nigerians in that capacity building. And everything that we do looks at sustainability. It's not just about putting up structures now, it's really about how sustainable is it. Then policy framework, legal framework. One of the main areas that you find there is a great lacuna in this particular sector is lack of strong legal framework. For example, copyright laws. The copyright laws are so porous, so to speak. So we're looking at how we can sort of strengthen those policy, tighten the policy, the copyright laws, and then infrastructure. Infrastructure is again key because Nigerian creatives generally have to go out of the country for them to find the sort of infrastructure that will allow them to sort of operate in the creative way that they need to. You have the likes of Burna Boy and, these fantastic, wonderful Nigerian artists that have to go outside of the country to, get stadiums just to perform. So infrastructure, again, is key. And you're going to see us sort of begin projects that put all this into light. And then Destination 2030. This is a very important initiative. This initiative is really to sort of reposition Nigeria in the world. One of the great sadnesses of me as a Nigerian is when I go out of the country and you find that people have a different narrative. They have a very negative connotation of what Nigerians are. And this Destination 2030 is actually geared towards reposition Nigeria. I don't want to use the word rebranding because I think we're already an absolutely fantastic brand. It's just about repositioning Nigeria. And I think the greatest way that we can do that is tapping into the potential that you find in the creative spaces. The whole world is looking at Nigeria for our talent and our creativity. So now these fantastic people have gone out, used their talent. In spite of government, they've succeeded. And now the president has told us that they need us. He recognized from the very beginning that these people, these fantastic Nigerians that have made great strides globally, need us. So now we have a global platform that we hope to collaborate with people in the industry. By doing so, we'll be able to sort of realize their greatest potential and give them certain accesses whereby we can really propel them even further. And then, like I said, I spoke about infrastructure so that, we talk about Dirty December in Nigeria, but I know a couple of years ago, Ghana almost stole Dirty December. And now you have, black people going back to Ghana. Meanwhile, 1 out of every 4 black person in the world is a Nigerian.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a great power in that, right? And there's a great power in the messaging, the power of the messaging that we have within that creative space.
All right.
So it is my job to be able to look at this industry, to look at this space, to work with the people, to listen to them, and to see what we can do as an administration to close the gap, work together in the interest of Nigeria.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, I wish I had more time with you because I know I need to wrap up in like the next 10 minutes thereabout.
Yeah.
But I look forward to having a 1-hour session with you where
fine.
where we delve into the issues, because you touched on very many salient points now, talking about how other African countries are taking away the glory of Nigeria because they are being more active, if not for the resilience of the individuals. You've talked about so many talking points. But earlier on, you made mention of the directive that the president gave to you, which is his focus, and that is that focus a lot on the younger demography. When you say younger demography, what really is the age group you're looking at?
When you talk about a younger demography, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about under 40.
Okay.
So I know that may sound
Broad.
broad, but it is. In your 30s, you're still young, and we don't want to alienate people just because
you're a certain age.
Because we have to understand that before now, there's been no focus, or there's been no support administratively. So I want to be able, of course, younger. We're talking about in their teens, right? So that's also almost also a great catchment area, and people in their 20s. But we include people in their 30s as well. And you will find in my ministry very soon, most of the people that we're going to engage are going to be people of a younger demographic.
All right. Now, you rightly said that a lot of times that the individuals have been the ones that have developed own their skills with little or no support from government. We can talk about the skit makers, the comedy, the actors, and all this. I have like 3 questions in this, but I know you have to go. Let me just ask one, and we'll release you. Now, if we look at Nigeria, being the Minister for Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy, what is the low-hanging fruit right now that you believe that, okay, if we can tap into this, we could begin the transformation that will be obvious to everybody that our ministry is working?
There's a lot of low-hanging fruits, and I'll tell you why. Because the people in the creative space have already done the work. They've already done the work. So when we talk about, for example, I went to see fantastic young man yesterday, Bayo, who has already done an incubator in University of Lagos, a hub. And we already want to do hubs in every single state that will give different Nigerians a sort of enabling environment whereby they can come and express themselves creatively. So he's already done it. And so we have that template that we're going to replicate in every single state, and hopefully eventually in every senatorial district. The musicians have already done the work again. So when we talk about the issue of Destination 2030, and we want to sort of tap into those particular potentials, it's just about us sitting down, speaking, agreeing, aligning, and then giving them enabling environment within Nigeria, tax rebates and stuff like that.
Incentives, tax incentives,
that will allow them to sort of. I don't want to speak about the lady, one of the people that I spoke to in the industry yesterday, that spoke about something as simple as tint. They want tints on their cars because they're famous and they don't want to go around and, the insecurity and what have you. And the government won't give them that license to have tint. So something as simple as that. Government is willing to work with them through through my ministry to give them that environment that will able to let them flourish. So when we talk about like Destination 2030 and you want to sort of project Nigerian productions like film, Funke Akindele has already done it. Mo Abuja has already done it. Yeah. So to me...
I see what you're doing there. You're focusing more on the women. We have men that have done it too.
Listen, if I start talking about Kiss Daniel and Burna Boy, we're not going to finish this interview.
So we allow that fly.
Okay, ma'am, now speaking about his question on women, I will say that we know you to be the first female minister of art, culture, and the creative economy. I want to ask, what about inclusivity that involves persons living with disabilities?
Yes.
Is there any plan for them? For example, here in our editorial team, we have someone who's visually impaired. But
we're very inclusive at Lagos.
Yes, and it has never deterred us from, employing persons with disabilities. So is there any plan by your ministry for such persons?
Yeah, when you talk about Nigeria, we talk about diversity. So issue of diversity has always been very important to me, right? And then when you talk about diversity, for me, that talks about inclusivity as well. Because diversity is not just about the issue of gender or the issue of tribe or ethnicity. It's also the issue of disability. So we are, again, talking with members of the humanitarian ministry to see how we can work with people with disability. And let me tell you, as long as they have the talent and they have the interest in the area of creativity and they have the interest in the area of heritage and art, they are welcome. And I'm here to serve Nigeria, and as long as you're Nigerian and you have the talent, you are welcome. And by the time we do our stakeholder engagements, the very intimate ones that we're going to do, we're going to start in Lagos because that's the center of excellence.
That's the hub.
Right?
Lagos party is the...
Absolutely. So we're going to do a save the date sometime in February so that will give people, and so we talk about diversity and inclusivity, that gives people time to be able to sort of participate, right? And one thing, and I have to say it here, we're going to do I'm very excited about this. We're going to have a advisory council in our ministry that's going to be populated by members of the industry.
Okay.
So while we have not come out with the modalities as to how they'll be extracted, but people will be allowed possibly to vote. There'll be, Kannywood, Kannywood, Nollywood, music, even makeup, because
arts.
Arts. Just
everything.
The spectrum is very wide, right?
Wow.
Gaming and poetry, writing. So people will be allowed to vote. Right?
Who they want to represent.
Even though there are
them.
1 or 2 Nigerians that you cannot do it without them. You cannot talk about music without bringing in someone like Don Jazzy, right? You're not going to talk about film and you leave out someone like Funke Akindele or Mo Abudu, right? So I'm hoping, I'm going to appeal to them to come and have a seat at the table. Then we're going to allow people within the creative space to vote in others. Yeah, so that they will have a voice that goes direct to the federal.
All right. So this is what we'll do. She has to go, but we'll tie 2 questions in one.
Question.
So
all right,
yours and mine, then you answer it together.
Okay.
And we'll bring it
I'll
up.
try.
Okay. All right. So I know that
Multitask.
we have a couple of museums here, and I know that we have some of our artifacts that are yet to be returned.
Yeah.
During your tenure, are there plans to increase the number of museums and, places? Because we have such a rich cultural history and so many people are influenced by our culture. So, and then in your tenure, hopefully 8 years, are we going to see the springing up of more museums and these centers, tourist attractions that will boost our economy?
And in addition to that, just to tie it all into one, 2024, you've spoken about some of the things you want to do. Destination 2020, save the date. You see, I'm listening, so I can remember it now. Now, beyond these 2, are there other plans you have for this year so that Nigerians know these are your plans and we can monitor you? Then, secondly, the creative is populated with very young, energetic, vibrant people who are creating new things every day. Is there any channel through which they could access you to share ideas or to even tap into the opportunities that you present? Maybe anyway.
Yeah, let me just do the artifacts. The artifacts. One of the main things that we're going to do as a country is to bring back our artifacts. I'm gung ho as to how to bring back our artifacts. We have a lot of fantastic hundreds and thousands of artifacts in foreign governments. So I'm talking to all these governments to see how we bring back our artifacts. The way we can get back our artifacts is by building museums. One of the crying shames that I feel is that a capital city like Abuja does not have one museum. It's ridiculous. It's a crying shame. And so museums, again, is, when I was talking about when I was talking about the eight-point
agenda, yes.
So infrastructure,
yes,
right? So museums is key. Already we are working with the likes of MOA to try to see if we can replicate the brilliant edifice that they've done in Benin. And we're going to do museums everywhere. And even the museum that I went to here in... the Randall Centre is fantastic. But apart from the Randall Centre, the other museum, I almost cried when I went in there. So we have to do those museums that will be international standard. Yeah. So that when Nigerians, that will tie in with the tourism as well. Yeah. So that, and not just the tourism, so that Nigerians can enter and really understand who they are. Because I think when we really understand who we are as a people, that unity, the unity that our forefathers really knew, will come back. So the museums is actually the top of our agenda. And apart from museums, you're going to see a number of pavilions. We're already working on one in Abuja now. Here, Lagos, you've got to give us space. There's no space in Lagos, right? So there's going to be museums all over the country. And with these museums, you talk about, I spoke about the artifacts, the heritage sites. Heritage sites are key. We're working closely with UNESCO to try to expand Nigerian heritage site. Already we're going to do a tour with UNESCO. I think it's actually next week, whereby we're going to go and identify extra heritage sites so that, we continue to put Nigeria on the map. We're actually even doing underwater. Did you know we had underwater heritage sites?
Really?
No. Yeah, I didn't know
in Lagos.
In Nigeria,
underwater heritage sites. So, these are, I didn't even know. So these are things that will put us back, global interest on us and, put Nigeria, continue that repositioning. Right. And I think you asked about...
tying access for the creative minds to reach out to you and also your plan for 2024. Yeah,
so okay, so that particular outreach that we're going to do, the stakeholder engagements, whereby we're going to go state by state, because every single state is very unique in its culture and its creative sort of juices, so to speak. So we're going to be able to do that. And once we do that, and it's going to be a continuing thing, it's not going to be just one-off. For me, it's going to be a continuing engagement to continue to go back to the states and to the different communities to understand, are we doing the right thing or are we not doing the right thing? And this advisory council to continue to ask people in the community, are they representing you properly? Because if they aren't, then there has to be some sort of a reshufflement,
All right.
And so obviously I cannot speak to 216 million people, right?
Yeah.
But there will be some sort of a portal whereby they'll be able to, come and, send in their
entries, and polls,
yes. And
surveys.
I think it's probably very important for us to have some sort of a presence in every single state, so that there can be some sort of a reporting module whereby we can still get feedback. I will do my best.
All right. And 2024.
Listen, 2024, we're going to start the creative city in Abuja. We're going to start the creative hubs. Already, this fantastic gentleman has done his own bio, the former photographer of the former president. So he's done one here. We're going to start these hubs. The policy framework, we're going to start work immediately. And we're also considering a commission. Hopefully, they allow me to set up a commission that will be a one-stop shop for creatives, so that you go to the commission. It's the commission that will deal with the CAC, that will deal with the tax, that will deal with all those nasty little, things that you have to do in order to, so... Yeah, and Destination 2030 is going to take off. So we're going to see the repositioning of Nigeria very soon. And job creation, capacity building, all this good stuff is going to start. Right. So, I want you to hold my feet to the fire so that I can deliver for Nigerians.
We will, and we will bring you back because, like you said, so many questions
There's
to ask. I don't want to look at the portal right now. I'm sure we'll be buzzing with messages. So we will definitely try to bring you back this year before you launch into the plans for the year.
And I'm willing to come anytime to...
Okay, ma'am. Very quickly, please, if you could say one thing to Nigerians, what would you tell them, the ones listening right now?
Honestly, I want Nigerians to really rediscover themselves as the greatest black people in the whole globe, in the whole world. Powerful. We really are. There's a lot of power in what we do and in what we say. And I think within this particular sector, within this industry, within this space, I think we can really change the world. Because if 1 out of every 4 black person in the world is Nigerian, I think there's a power in that. So please, many good things are going to happen. And no matter what Nigerians are going through, I want you, the little experience or the little interaction that you'll have within this particular industry, I hope it will serve to sort of make you smile and remember that, you're part of a great, great collective of people.
All right.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. An honor to meet you and to have you here once again.
Thank you.
All right, we wish you a safe trip back to Abuja and Lagos. That's how we draw the curtain right now. And we've brought to you Honorable Hannatu Musawa, the Minister for Arts, Culture and Creative Economy. We've had a chat. She promises to be back in the studio, virtually or in person, and so that we can have you comment as well and send in your quest. This is, I almost said the early edition. This is the midday show.
The midday show. And it's run by the women.
Definitely. It's run by the women. I'm only an intruder this morning, but the show continues. This is Lagos Talks, 91.3 FM.